freedom isn't just for the people we like and the kind of ideas we like, and if we want to fight and advocate for political freedom, for laissez-faire capitalism, uh, that type of a system of government is not one in which we're going to like everything everybody does. We might really despise some people for what they do, but unless they are harming anyone else, they have the right to do that. That's what separates us from the kind of countries that we don't want to be like, and we often have to fight against. Sometimes defending other people's rights, people make it really difficult for you to do that. And I think the story we're talking about today is one of those cases where people are making it really difficult to do that. So we're going to watch a bit of this video where somebody walks in to a cafe in was it San Francisco, Oakland, California, with a Star of David hat, and is being told by the owner to leave. Let's watch some of that, and then we can start talking about it.
You. So you're saying I can't leave where
Are you a Zionist?
I can't eat here wearing a Jewish star?
Right.
Excuse me, do you work here? Does that gentleman work here? Do you work here?
You're causing a
work here?
disruption. I'm gonna call the police if you don't leave.
Please call the police. I'm
Okay,
not
I'm
causing a
calling-
disruption.
You need to leave.
Do you work
You need
here?
to leave. You need to leave.
Sir,
You need. This is a private
do you
business.
see
You
this
need to
gentleman
leave.
right now? Do you see the way
This is
he's
a private business. Do you know what a private business means? You need to leave.
I don't need to leave because
This
you
is
came
a
up to
private
me
business. You're being
screaming.
asked to leave.
Please stop
Do
screaming.
you want me to escort you out?
Please stop.
You want me to
screaming
escort you out?
Please stop
Leave
screaming
my
at me in
business.
front of my son.
Get out of my
Please
business.
stop screaming.
Get out of my business.
Is it his business?
This is
You
a
told me
business.
you
You
were
need
the
to
owner.
leave.
He
So
owns
Yeah,
you're
the
let's
gonna have to
hear
leave.
Daniel
Hold.
for a second. Yeah, I think there's going to be more to talk about, but in essence, when he says this is a private business, you're being asked to leave, that's it. Um, as despicable as this person is, it is his business. And no, Jesse, this was not in Israel. This was in Oakland. Yeah, welcome to the reality show. This is the topic we're talking about today. I'm joined by Alex, Michael, and Anders. Hey everyone, Alex, your views on what we just saw.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I feel very happy for what is his name, Hirsch, because I think certainly with are those his hats that he's promoting as part of this kind of stunt. Well, I feel happy. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of promotion for his hats. A lot of people are going to see this, but certainly the cafe owner, as really repulsive as we I definitely perceive him to be. He absolutely has the right to kick him out and deny him service.
Enric in the chat says, just a few miles from where I live. Well, Enric, you can do your own viral video there, but yeah, no, but that's another thing. Yeah, you have the right to do that with your own business, and people have the right to call you out on it and say, this is a business owned by a despicable human being. Do not go there. Michael, your thoughts?
Well, I think legally that's absolutely true, and I'm a huge proponent of private businesses get to determine what they want. We can talk about how people should respond to this. It's interesting though, if he had posted a sign over the door that said "No Jews allowed," which is effectively what he's doing, assuming that he consistently implements this, would we have a different view? I think legally this guy has a private business. I assume he doesn't receive federal funds for any of this, although in California, he may well receive state funds for just existing. I think it's something worth asking, but regrettably, it's Patrick Henry said it. I don't always agree with what you say, but I'll fight for your right to say it. So.
Yeah, I mean, for me, even if he had the no Jews allowed, even if he had the N-word, or the K
Oh, the
word.
N-word, we've been in a different world here, Razi. You and we can discuss that later, but this is right now it's specific to Jews, because if anybody does anything against blacks or no gays, there would be hysteria and people would be throwing things at the, you know how it would be. There would be riots.
Yeah. But I am saying I would still defend his legal right to do that, and
Yes, yes.
still absolutely
Agreed.
encourage people not to go to that place of business. Anders, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with you that as a private business owner, he probably has the right. I mean, you can broaden it a little bit and, ask yourself, so he's probably renting the space. If he owns the building, no questions asked. But if he rents the space, his the person he's leasing it from, he could potentially be contractual obligations there, or this person who is leasing it to him, next time around when the lease comes up for renewal, he might think twice before he wants to keep him there, or maybe he likes what he's doing, in which case, they can just continue. But so there's a larger kind of ecosystem, if you like, here. You could even extend it to talk about suppliers. Does the coffee supplier, do they really want to deal with a guy like this? Or maybe they do. But in a capitalist system, I think you would see a lot more of those interactions taking place. You obviously have the right to be a jerk, to be a racist. And if you own your building and put it up and you say a sign, no Jews allowed, or no blacks, or whatever, that's your call. It's probably not a really good business decision. So I suspect that in the long run, and I actually make this comment in my book, in my chapter on racism, these ideas, they will kind of be outcompeted by the good ideas, because you are kind of excluding yourself from a big part of the marketplace, and good ideas will win out, and we would see a lot less of this.
Yeah, that's a good point, that in terms of people choosing not to do business with him, it's not just you walking down the street and deciding to get your coffee elsewhere. It is also, the landlord, the suppliers, anybody who interacts with him. If you own a shop next door and he wants to walk in, you can also say, no, we don't do business with anti-Semites. This is what should happen in a free country. Like, you can say whatever you want, and people can choose to judge you based on that. I'm not sure I agree with you that it's a bad business decision. I think many people will no longer go to that business, but I also think, certainly in the San Francisco Bay Area, many people might think, okay, we want to help this guy out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more branches of his cafe in the coming months or year.
Okay, there's a franchise model, right?
Yeah. Maybe he can come to Gaza and open.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I take issue with the fact he's calling it the Jerusalem Cafe. He has to call it, the ARCUK Cafe, and then really, I think it would be more appropriate. Otherwise, wouldn't they say he's guilty of cultural appropriation? And so that's a linguistic appropriation, I would say.
It's part of the doublespeak of the current regimes.
Yeah, can you culturally
United
appropriate
Nations.
Jews? Is that a group you can culturally appropriate, or isn't it?
I've just decided. Yes, you can. There you go. He's guilty. Guilty. I've handed my verdict down.
Well, thank you, Alexis, for the super chat. Alexis says, would you share the business address? I have a furious need to write a review. Yes, Daniel, if we have that business address, feel free to share it in the chat in case Alexis wants to write a review. Enric wants to go there and not get a cup of coffee or anything else that people how people might choose to react. Hopefully, not violently in any way, of course, but tell this person what we think of that. Let's watch a bit more of the clip to see where this interaction goes.
Asked me to leave because of my hat.
This is a violent hat, and you need to leave.
My hat is
Yeah,
a violent
it's violent.
hat.
It's violent.
I'm
You need
sorry.
to leave.
This man cannot ask me to leave because
Yeah, I
of
can. It's my business, bro.
No, he can't.
It's my business.
You can't refuse
Yeah, I can.
someone.
I can. Yes, I
You
can.
can't refuse service
Yes,
for a
I can.
protected class, and he's
It's
asking
what
me to leave
protected
because of a
class?
Magen David Dome, which is a Jew,
need to leave.
Magen David, which is a Jewish star. He can't ask
need
me
to
to leave
leave.
because of my religion. He can't
I'm not
ask me
asking
to
you to
leave.
leave because of that.
Yes, you are. You said
Are you
my-
a Zionist?
You said.
Are you a Zionist?
I don't have to identify
Leave.
myself
Then
by
get
my
out.
belief. Excuse
Bro,
me,
get out.
Please back away from me.
Get out.
Yes, he does if he's asking me to leave based on a protected class. Are you really, like, I'm sitting here quiet. We were sitting here quietly playing, I don't, you're wrong, call the police. I don't, they're wrong, call the police. You're gonna have a lawsuit. I don't, you're wrong, call the police.
Yeah, I'll call the cops on you, bro.
Do it.
Even though it's against my ethos, I'm gonna call the cops
Do
on
it,
you
call the
right now.
cops.
All right.
You prosecute.
I'd love for him to elaborate why it's against his ethos to call the police. I could probably guess. But yeah, violent hats. That's we really need to do something about those violent hats, especially, you know, people walking around with Star of David hats without you know, as if they don't care about the consequences. Yeah. Then of course, you know, he goes to ask him, "Are you a Zionist?" So there's an ideological test, which again, you can have for your business, but it shows the kind of person it is, and it shows the kind of business they're running. Alex, can I mention what you just said Zoom, because I'm not sure that's correct, and I want to discuss that. So the question of whether, you know, we're posting his address is doxing.
I have no idea. I was just a little concerned about posting his address, that it might be doxing or targeted harassment. And so just, I don't know. Maybe we should just put an article and then they can find out the name of the cafe, and then not directly where this business is located.
I mean, I'd say we're giving them free advertising. You know, the people,
Absolutely.
many of our viewers in the Bay Area would like a good anti-Semitic cup of coffee.
Right. Right. Well, I love the Intifada. I thought that was very clever that they have a type of tea called the. I mean, it's just static and sad. And honestly, if you're gonna, you really have a bit of a. I don't care. Kick him out, whatever. But don't get all kind of. Something is violent, right? A hat is violent because it has a Star of David on it. But you literally have a dish on your menu called the Intifada, which is a violent uprising. Violent uprising. It was a violent. It's a violent riot that has killed thousands of people, including Americans. You know, really shame on you, and really shame on the. No, sorry to say it, but shame on the residents of Oakland, like that they would just kind of put up with this. I mean, it's literally like saying, I have a particular brand of cigarettes. I'm going to call them Holocaust. I mean, really, okay, whatever. To say it's tasteless, I think, is to really play fast and loose with terms.
Yeah, and when pro Hamas rioters chant things like globalize the Intifada, this is what it means. It means globalize the war against Jews. Go after the Jews wherever they are, like our beloved Palestinians go after them October 7th style in Israel. Michael.
Yeah, look, I think his comment further that he said calling the police was against it, that's a ethos, because for sure he's part of the defund the police group, because this is all connected. And there's no conspiracy theory here. This kind of ridiculous view on the world of the oppressed and the oppressors and the Zionists and the not Zionists and all this, it's all part of this chaos, this love for chaos, this intifada and the whole bit. I'm still not sure, and I know we've been having a little side chat on the question of civil rights, because I'm not sure you're actually, even as a private business, allowed to discriminate on the basis of someone's religion or sex or color or creed. I don't know under the civil rights amendments and everything. I'm not a lawyer, et cetera. That said, I think your idea that Oakland should be ashamed. On the contrary, let's call it what it is. Oakland is proud to be a Jew-hating, anti-America, anti-establishment, defund the police. This is why there are homeless people all around. This is why it's chaos in California. This is why the taxes are very high. It's all related, and it's all consistent philosophy, which is the lack of a philosophy, generally an anti-Western philosophy. And the sad thing about Jews is, number one, they don't get it. Many Jews, and the Jews will make excuses for these people. These people are not teachable. They are adults that hate. And the response to this, forget about legal effects. And by the way, expecting any legal effects in California is also silly, because we've already seen how the DA in California doesn't prosecute almost anything. So the notion they would prosecute this is crazy, especially against Jews. But the correct response would be completely staying away from this place. And frankly, they should set up, to the extent they're allowed, they could even set up protests outside this place saying it's a Jew hater and so on, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people coming in. But the folks have got to wake up. Westerners, whether you're Jewish or not, have got to wake up. These folks are anti-civilization, they are barbarians, and they somehow have fallen in love with this idealistic seventh century Sharia law kind of crap. And we normal people have got to put a stop to it.
Yeah. Anders, you emigrated to the United States. I think of this as somebody who also would love to immigrate to the United States at some point. Hopefully there's something left to emigrate to. But I think of it as, people with this guy's views. I don't know if he personally has done this, but people with identical views to his, we hear them at rallies chanting that the Jews should go back to Poland, of course referring to people in Israel, most of whom were born in Israel, most of whom are definitely not descendants of people from Poland, actually most of whom are descendants of people from Arab countries. But leaving that aside, it's interesting to see people who go through a not easy process of immigrating to the United States, and who really hate everything it's about. Yeah, your thoughts on
that? Where to start? It's obviously a sad fact, and I don't know if they are first generation immigrants, most of them, if they are children of immigrants, if they are indoctrinated in their mosques, in their public schools. Those who are not Muslims are obviously subject to the public, still subject to public education, whether that is on the K through 12 or university level. So to Michael's point, I mean, it's a reflection of the state of the culture. I mean, the Jew-hating or anti-Semitism is, and often has been throughout history, the canary in the coal mine. It takes the temperature of the society in question, and as we see collectivism growing and statism and government playing a more and more outsized role, and the tribalist elements are increasing, because collectivism in and of itself is pitting people against one another, group against group, and so on and so forth. And when it gets to a certain point and people started looking for scapegoats, well, then unfortunately, the last 2,000 years, the Jews have been the first to blame. Now, they're not the only ones to blame, but they are, as I said, the canary in the coal mine, because it always seems to start with the Jews.
Yeah. Ginger says in the chat, it's been my experience that it's children of immigrants, even if it is by their standards, they can also go back to a place they've never been to, and fight the good fight, with your Hezbollah or Hamas brothers. Enric said that there's also a dish on the menu called sweet Sinoir. Is that an actual thing, or is it a joke? because I would say, if, that that's pretty, that's, you know, pretty straightforward in terms of there's no way you can pretend it's not. With intifada, people always have their own definitions of the word, although it is a word with a definition. But when you talk about Sinwar, it's as clear-cut. Sinwar rose to prominence around the world after October 7th. So when you have a dish named after him, it is because he managed to mastermind the murder of 1,200 Jews, the atrocities committed, the hostage taking, and yeah, Alex.
Well, I mean, it really does beg the question. I mean, what kind of moral rot truly lies at the core of this individual? If it was, I mean, despite the fact that I do think you're absolutely well within your rights, private property, private business, to tell somebody to leave and to kick them off. But the kind of to get so triggered, really, I would say, when you're somebody who has is has dish on the menu called Intifada. Sorry, you're not going to survive over in the real Intifada. They were those, the people who blew themselves up they were a little bit tougher than you. They weren't quite as triggered by a hat. Yeah, and also, um, I I really think that they would not have been able to do this over in the Middle East. Because recently there was a store that opened up, a pizza shop called October 7th, that was shut down by the Jordanian authorities. I've heard of similar things happening in Saudi Arabia as well. They have actually been taking taking a pretty dim view of glorifying terrorism. And of course, these are authoritarian regimes that we certainly don't admire. But I wonder if the American people are as aware of how truly negative, you know, the culture of terrorism is once it permeates your society. Because if you're saying something like, intifada as if it's a joke, it's like say somebody talking about Cyclone B. It really is like somebody, having a dish on the menu, that's Auschwitz, right? Or it's, hi, welcome to the Buchenwald experience. It is as crazy as that, and it is as I would say as tasteless as that. And I think it is pretty sad actually. But and also you can only wonder um what kind of laws that we certainly do not agree with that will be passed as I think kind of a backlash to this kind of thing. That every sensible protests thing people are going to eventually be saying, hang on a minute, people are calling for intifadas that after that leads to violence. And it just does not go down any good road for freedom and for, I don't know, civilized societies where it makes me very, very sad. And I wonder what the long-term effects are going to be on America if it like kind of dives deeper into this kind of tribalist hellhole, or whether or not there is some kind of awakening here. Are people of the kind of regular? That's the thing that really bothers me, is that normal people see these things and they don't, say anything about it. They don't say, hang on a minute, this is gross. This is really disgusting. This guy in our area, he has a thing on his menu called Intifada. That's horrible. Let's get the word out. Let's have a boycott. Let's have whatever. And nobody's thinking of doing it. It takes this idiot with a hat to upload this to YouTube for us to even be aware, like the Twitch thing, it had to come out by accident.
Yeah, and Enric says, yes, it's a juice on the menu called sweet Sinwar. I mean, seriously.
Well, I do wonder if any of the lawyers here could actually say whether or not that is, because I'm not just. I'm sure that the United States has laws about terrorism and terrorists and giving them moral support. I don't know. I don't know what they are. I mean, if you want to call your dish sweet noir, you're crazy. I mean, you're actually you're actually should be in a padded room. But I don't know. I don't know if that is, maybe the lawyers can tell me if that crosses some kind of a line.
Well, it's juice, not a dish, but that doesn't make it any better. Thank you,
Yeah,
Roland, for
just
the.
one quick comment, because I think Alex makes a great point. I think there's two issues. One is the law, and the second is whether it's enforced here. And I want to remind everybody that one of the most despicable things that's happened in America is that I believe the largest pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, pro-Intifada protest occurred outside of the Democratic National Convention when Kamala Harris was officially put into the spot, although she never had to run off against anyone. Think about that. The DNC hosted and didn't stop and did not condemn, as far as I'm aware, a very pro-terrorist event. And Hamas is a designated terrorist organization in the United States. So there's the law, and then there's the Justice Department's application of the law. And we've seen a number of instances, especially involving Jews, but recently involving a veteran, where the Department of Justice just doesn't care. And they're definitely getting the directive from the Democrats who are in charge right now that they are not to prosecute anything that doesn't go along the current political lines, not the legal lines, the political lines. So apparently supporting a terrorist organization by saying globalize the Intifada, death to Israel, death to America is acceptable, despite the fact that in Germany, you're actually not allowed to do that.
Thank you, Roland, for the super chat. Roland says, spooky stuff. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you as well. Thank you, Aviva, for the super chat. Anderson.
Yeah, what did you have a question for me?
Not really. I just wanted to see if you had any additional thoughts, and if not, we can go play the rest or some of the rest of the clip and then come back to you.
Yeah, why don't we move on?
All right, Daniel, let's play some more of this clip.
And they said, across the street. We came across the street. I ordered a coffee from that gentleman. I used the bathroom. While he was making the coffee, my son and I sat down to play chess. And then while the drink was coming, he came up to me and said, because of my hat, I need to leave. This other guy. I said, do you work here? I don't even know you. This other man served me my food. He didn't tell me there was any problem.
You've walked into an establishment
That what? Doesn't allow Jews?
and run by
That,
Palestinians.
so? That doesn't allow
And
Jews?
it's, they may
not. They may not allow Jews.
And if they may not, that's not on us. And it's not on you.
It absolutely is. You can't deny service to Jews. He's told me to get out. You called my drink out, and I took my son to the bathroom while we were finishing our game of chess.
You obviously came in here. You knew where you're at. You knew
He
where
may
you
not
came
have.
into.
He may not have. This may be an entirely innocent situation.
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
think that
actually,
you
let's
have
pause there for a second, because look, he most likely knew where he was going. He knew what he was doing. But that doesn't mean that he's not right on the property rights issue, but he is right on saying on wanting to point out that this is an anti-Semitic business run by an anti-Semitic person. It reminds me of this protest, pro-Hamas protest in London a few months ago, where sorry, I forget his name, but the head of the campaign against anti-Semitism was there, and the police told him, you need to go away because you are quite openly Jewish, because he was wearing a yarmulke. Yeah, he was obviously there because there was that protest, but that does not justify his treatment in that case. I'd say that's worse because that was the police, but yeah, Anders, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was thinking about the parallel here with so I'm in Colorado, in Denver, and we have had a case that has been going through the court system multiple times about a baker who refused to bake cakes for a gay couple, I believe it was, and I think he prevailed at the Supreme Court the first time around, and then it's going back up there. So where I'm going with this is that there seems to be some gray zones in the law and what you can do and what you can't do. And so I don't know if this is, with the current state of the law, is this a, I mean, we know it's his business owner and he should have the right to throw out the Jew, you know, as despicable as that is. But I actually don't know if he has the full right on his side right now. We need some legal commentary on that, I think.
Well, Deborah says in the chat, refusing service on basis of ethnicity or religion is illegal. Imagine if a black person was refused service for being black. Yeah, as far as I know, she is correct. But again, I think it absolutely should be legal to do that. And yes, black people as well, not Jews. You can refuse service to anybody for whatever reason, and other people should judge you and decide whether or not to do business with you based on that. But yeah, you know, that is what freedom and property rights, that's what it means. It means
right.
You can do whatever you want. You can, just like you can say in your own home, I'm not going to let people of you know, a color I don't like or whatever. And of course, yeah, and you can also refuse to bake cakes for gay weddings. I think that's what should be the law.
Right. Yeah. So but so apparently one of your commenters said that this is, under the current law, it is a violation to refuse in service there. Yeah. So obviously that is, and then of course there's the double standard, as you mentioned, with or others mentioned that if this would have been he would have refused a black person or a gay person for that matter, you know, all of Oakland would be up in arms by now.
And Lee says in the chat, Razi is wrong if he says that's U.S. law. The law isn't for homes, but for public spaces such as restaurants. Yeah, isn't that what I said? That's yeah, I know for homes you're you know, it hasn't been extended to homes yet, but I'm saying it shouldn't be the law for any type of business.
Not yet.
Alex.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I personally refuse service in my home, you know, to terrorists. So, you know, I want to make it very clear that I'm very discriminatory when it comes to my, you know, property. You're not allowed if you're a terrorist or if you love Sinwar, or even, you know what, sometimes I might just not like the look of you. You're not getting in. Well, I think I do agree with you, Razi. I do think that this particular Jewish person, Hirsch is his name, I believe, has maybe engineered this situation in order to raise awareness of a particular issue he felt was going on. And the reaction, I think, of the owner does maybe indicate a pattern of behavior. But I also cannot help, you know, feel a little slightly saddened that whilst I believe it should be legal to deny somebody service for, you know, in your business for whatever reason you like, I also just think it's kind of sad that he believes he can do this, and there's not going to be any financial repercussion that will kind of befall him in the form of boycotts, in the form of, I don't know, maybe a protest outside his or maybe the bad publicity. It's not going to be bad publicity for him. This is going to be good publicity, right? This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing that this individual has done. Having a Sinwar, a sweet Sinwar tea, having an intifada tea, having I don't know. It's not even that it's passé, or it's not even that it's gauche. It's not even that it's any of these things, that it's impolite, okay, to have a Sinwar tea. No, this is probably good. This is good for business. This is good for his business. And that's very, very sad. That's very, very unfortunate. And I did have the chance to be in Oakland, actually, this time 3 years ago. And I did see, sadly, just kind of the wreckage, because it was just after the kind of the riots in 2020, and I really felt like I was in a third world country. Really, it was that every store was boarded up. There was just, really horrible encampments under bridges, and it wasn't a happy place to be. And I do believe it once was. So yeah, I don't know. I hope you really enjoy your tea.
It's a juice, Alex. How are you gonna next time you're in Oakland? How are you gonna remember what to order if you don't
I thought
remember?
it was a tea. I thought it wasn't sweet. Okay, I'm sorry.
The
I'm sorry.
intifada is a tea, but
Uh-huh.
sweet
Okay, well
noir is
I
a
want
juice.
okay, well when I come, you'll make me what I want. Okay, that's my civil right. I want the I want a Abu Hamza uh tea. That's what I want with a hook in it.
Well,
Remember him?
yeah, that's a British reference. I'm not sure everybody gets that, but Google Abu Hamza or Captain Hook, although
I
actually,
loved him. What do you mean? Okay. Hope he's
uh,
doing well.
by the way, I was in San Francisco. I think it was late last year, and I was expecting all these things I heard of, and it was everything was perfectly fine. And I was there. I had lunch with someone, and he told me, yeah, the Chinese president was just here, and they cleaned everything up for him. So I thought it was for me, but anyway, yeah, Michael, as you mentioned, anti-Jewish bigotry is kind of the one that's uh, acceptable socially and culturally nowadays. If it was anti black people or other minorities, it was yeah, like Anders mentioned, we're talking about this gay wedding cake for I don't know how many years, but I remember Gary Johnson. I don't remember when it was that he ran. It was last time or the time before, but there was some controversy when he said it shouldn't be allowed. But yeah, this is there's a special Jews are a special case, and that's what's terrifying here because Jews have been a special case in the past, and we know how that ended up.
I think the mistake that gets made, and Jews, frankly, at least in the US, are the worst, is that they think that this is somehow isolated, that somehow it's all actually okay. And they also don't understand that there are fundamental philosophies underlying all of this. And part of the philosophy is that success is bad, and anyone who's successful is bad, did it on the shoulders and squashed down people that are oppressed. And this is what's being taught in a lot of American schools, and I think a lot of Western schools around the world. We don't teach life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness anymore. And unlike what Ayn Rand warned us is that you've got to start with a philosophy. Everything that happens in a culture starts with a philosophy. And the philosophy of what has happened is that the Western life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, along with meritocracy, have been demolished. And this has been a very good job done by the far left in infiltrating. And these are just facts, right? They've infiltrated our educational system. Kids are not learning about the Holocaust because it's uncomfortable. Kids are not learning about 9/11 because the Muslims don't like to hear about it. We pretend that World War II was bad because the United States actually dropped bombs on Japan in order to stop the war, because obviously 50,000 American deaths wasn't enough for the left wing to understand that we needed to stop the war and that we needed to stop it as soon as possible. And I'll say something I always say, and not only do we drop one bomb, but we dropped 2 atom bombs because the Japanese didn't want to stop after 1 atom bomb was dropped. And by the way, does that sound like Hamas and Hezbollah, who are getting the crap kicked out of them, losing people right and left? But that's okay, because they will die till the very last person. This philosophy that is underlying the behavior, which this gentleman is but a small bit, is sitting there, and the goal is to do what Alex described, is to destroy everything good, to create homeless encampments everywhere, to get rid of all our good stuff in America and blame everyone, because if you follow this philosophy, the natural outcome is chaos. and barbarism. That's what everybody in the Middle East who wants an Islamic caliphate is looking for. And that's what the idiots on the left wing side, the far left, are looking for.
So this is kind of off topic, but you know, there's it's interesting to compare to kind of this side of the pond where we don't have a First Amendment. And there's a story we talked about it very briefly in the Daily Objective, but I think it's worth repeating here. I came across it as a just Guardian headline that popped up, and the headline is Palestinian student stripped of UK visa after Gaza remarks wins human rights appeal. And I saw this and I thought, well, Gaza remarks. I mean, that sounds pretty benign. Let's read some of these remarks. These were made, from what I can tell, on October 8th of last year. This is the quote from the dual Jordanian-Canadian citizen of Palestinian origin. For 16 years, Gaza has been under blockade, and for the first time, they are actively resisting. They are not on the defense, and this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And we are both in fear, but also in fear of how Israel will retaliate and how we've seen it retaliate overnight and the missiles that it's launched and the attacks. But also, we are full of pride. We are really, really full of joy of what happened. And the decision, let me find where it is, but it basically, there it is. It says it found the tribunal found that the statements could not be taken as support for Hamas or the Hamas-led attacks on October 7th. Which is interesting, because full of pride, full of joy, that's not usually what you say about things that you are against. Anders, what do you think of that? And what do you think of kind of the cultural comparison? You are from Europe. I know you don't follow too closely the sentiment here, but you were probably familiar with it enough.
Right. So just first, you said he was a Canadian Jordanian citizen, and his visa in the UK was revoked, or
Yes, was it a he? I think it was a she, but
Yeah, it was a woman.
yeah.
okay. Yeah. Yes. So I think this. So I guess this would fall under hate speech laws in the UK, right? And I think Canada has similar, and many European countries do. And I mean, that is exactly the wrong method to combat this, because we need these terrible ideas to be out in the open, and for the people who advocate them, the best way of refuting them is for the good guys to do battle in the marketplace of ideas, and nothing will get better by suppressing this through hate speech laws or similar laws. We have to make that clear distinction between speech and action. I think it was a couple of months ago, we had a show, I don't remember exactly what it was, and I actually looked up some of these UK hate speech laws, and they're pretty frightening, actually. And that makes me appreciate more and more our First Amendment, however much that has been violated and may be diluted over the years.
Yeah, I mean, what I found really interesting here is the way the Guardian reported it, and specifically that headline. What was it? Gaza remarks is what they referred to this as, which was, if you look at the Guardian, I don't remember what exactly they said when the famous comment by Israel's finance minister Smotrich was made, and I'm not a fan of his, but those comments I would defend. He said something to the effect of there are 2 million Nazis in the West Bank. Now, he said that. People don't like to remind people of this. The context in which he said that was a poll where something like 80% of people in the West Bank said that they support October 7th, which was, as close as the Palestinians could come to doing what the Nazis did to the Jews. They couldn't kill 6 million, they could kill 1,200 and take 250 hostages, but they tried. They tried their best. And yeah, that's not reported as West Bank remarks, which it was if this is Gaza remarks. Alex, you're originally from the UK, so any thoughts on this story and how it ties into our main story?
Actually, I grew up in Scotland, but yeah, but yeah. So what I would say is, yeah, okay, fine. Having bad ideas and having rights to say them is one thing that I truly agree with. But this is a clear-cut case of you. I'm not going to allow you to be in the country on your visa. You were there basically as a guest of the Queen, I do believe, or the King. Who because they're the one who grants passports and visas. Well, you know what? They don't have they're not obligated to let you stay in the country, especially when you're advocating for ideas like this. And you know what? The UK should have a little bit more respect for itself. I mean, truly, the sentiment should be, we cannot allow this to happen, because I'm worried what the British people will say, because, that really should be what I think the fear that but one would have. And also it does sound to me a little bit like a rallying cry that she was saying. And also I do believe encouraging violence and glorifying terrorism. I mean, there's so many ways in which I think you could just say, hang on a minute, we have our jihadi quota filled. Come back next year. Come back next year. Our jihadi quota is 100%. We can't manage you right now. There's not enough room in Belmarsh. And also, as for America all should have. I mean, I think America is just the most phenomenal place, with the most phenomenal history, with the most phenomenal legal system, with the Constitution. I mean, these are things that I just look up to with total awe. And you're letting, I don't know, I truly believe this guy with this cafe. He's a stain. This is a stain on America. This is a total stain on your culture. And he doesn't. I mean, he really doesn't belong there. He barely belongs in the Middle East. I mean, like I said, people were opening up October 7th restaurants in the Middle East. They said, get out, go away. And I don't know. I think as well, like I just think it is very, very sad actually for one to see. And there's no other word for it. It's not disappointing, because disappointing is when you're disappointed at a result. It's true sadness. And I feel like it's also longing. It's longing for maybe longing for the self-esteem, I think, that is so important for you to have in order for you to fight back against barbarism. You need to have the self-esteem, and that is the fundamental thing there. And that's also, I think, why the productivity in Oakland might be so bad, so terrible, is that there's this is this kind of thing. It drains on your ability to be a freedom-loving, productive member of society, because this is horrible. Just that culture of glorifying the most violent, disgusting regimes and events, that rots from the top. It really does.
Well, the A's are moving to Vegas, so Oakland's actually, I don't know if that's the best thing about Oakland, but yeah, there were no shortage of bad things. I don't know, it's interesting, but I'm not sure where I stand on, like, letting people into the country in terms of when they express problematic views. A few years ago, I went to the US for the Objective Summer Conference, and I was asked, guy asks you questions when you come into the US as a foreigner. I was asked what I do, and I said I run a company, and I was asked the name of the company. I said Ayn Rand Center UK, and then he paused for a second, and then in shock. He said, "Did you say Ayn Rand?" And then he went on a whole rant about Ayn Rand and why and how left wing he is, and how the 2008 financial crisis proved that capitalism doesn't work. And I'm standing there like terrified that this guy is not going to let me into the country, which, luckily he didn't have the power to do. He could only escalate it and send me to the side room where I waited for an hour and a half until they let me in. So yeah, I'm worried on the one hand about these ideological tests, which, in my case, ironically, if either one of us shouldn't have been let in, it's that guy working at customs should have been sent to, a place that's more in accordance with his values. But yeah, on the other hand, why do they want to come to free countries when these are their views? Michael.
They want to come here to destroy it. There's so many sayings about this stuff, and we, the good people, just never talk about it like bluntly. So let's move from what Alex said, which I agree with, but let's be stronger about it. And all that evil needs to prosper is for good people to do nothing. And that's exactly what's going on in America. We somehow feel that if you come in and say death to America, that adds to our society. It's ironic because if you come in and you actually work for a foreign spy agency in order to effect death to America, that's called spying, and we are allowed to capture you and kill you for that. But if you come out and you're publicly saying death to America and burning American flags, somehow that doesn't reach the ire of at least the current government here in America. Just think about that hypocrisy. If you're a foreign spy and you're trying to effect death to America, that's good. But burning the flag out there and saying death to America, that's okay. But the good people are doing nothing. The good people are really, it is shocking. And I have a lot of friends and I write a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and try to bring some normalcy back to this whole conversation and some basic philosophy that we have the best country in the world. It's not perfect. When someone shows me a perfect country, I'll move to it. Until that time, I will stick with America. And we all need to just try to make it better. Shouting death to America is not a way to make anything better. So we need to start to stand up for this stuff. I'll tell you one other thing, and that is that there are a bunch of protected groups in the country. Terrorists are not one of them. People who support terrorism is not a protected group. And this is in my company, and I'm the CEO, and I have a document that everyone must sign when they join the company, and that says that they do not support any organization that's listed as a terrorist organization in America. I've shown this to a lot of people. They are shocked that it's legal to do that. Can you imagine? People in America are shocked that it's legal to tell people that are working for you that you're not, if you can have that view, but don't work for me. So that's how ridiculous we've become in America. We can't discriminate you based on whether you're black or not, but we also cannot discriminate if you stand up for an organization that wants to take down America and destroy it and kill everyone. That's how stupid we've become in America. And these are educated people, by the way. And by the way, of course, it's all legal. So my view on this whole thing is that shows like this are great. But we have got, those of us that are sensible have to take a stand. And let this guy shoot off his mouth, and his Jerusalem cafe is because he thinks Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. We know where he got that name from. Let him think whatever he wants. No one should go there. Anybody who goes there is suborning terrorism or suborning the anti-Semitism. But the Jews and everybody else who's freedom loving have got to stop putting up with this stuff in actions. Doesn't mean you go attack the guy. Just as you said, make sure he goes out of business.
Yeah, I'm not sure that hiring policy is legal here in the UK, which is why I never asked Daniel where he stands on terrorism. And there's a different story that I have from an event we organized maybe 6, 7, I don't remember how many years ago, which I'm not proud of and wouldn't do today. But one of the speakers was going to be Lauren Southern, who's a right-wing commentator in Canada. And a few days before the event, she was banned from the UK for her views. So yeah, what's your view on like where's the line when it comes to who we let in terms of an ideological test?
Well, I don't think whom we let in. Obviously, if you break, if you have broken, if you're a criminal, according to American standards, American law, then we shouldn't let you in. But and that's one of the few limitations. So if you advocate for an ideology that is against America, I don't necessarily see that as a litmus test for letting you in or not. Because if good people do what good people should do, to paraphrase the comment that Michael raised, we have nothing to fear from. They're evil, they're weak. Good ideas will eventually prevail. And I'm very afraid of the slippery slope. You mentioned, I think, your previous comment that when you were in the stand in front of this immigration officer, and so problematic ideas to who determines what are the problematic ideas. Yes, there is a perhaps a very narrow gray zone between speaking and taking action, where you can have a discussion about letting people in or not. But I lean towards erring on the side of caution here and let people speak. And I have trust in the marketplace of ideas that it will address it in the long run.
Lee says in the chat, jokes aside, supporting terrorism is illegal in the UK, just rarely enforced. Yes, very rarely enforced. Like no enforcement on your average Saturday in central London. All right. Okay, let me quickly just say in just over an hour, the first of the Peacock videos that are members only is going to be posted on our website and on our and on YouTube for YouTube members only. Our website is for members through the website. So make sure you check that out. That is a video of Adam Mossoff asking Peacock a question about Israel. There's going to be a video every day from now until election day with a different person asking each question each day. Michael Kaufman was one of the people asking questions, so make sure you become a member so you have access to that. Parting thoughts, and where can people find you? I'm going to go to you, Michael, first, because I know you have to leave maybe before we're going to be done.
Yeah, for the record, I agree with Anders. I don't think the litmus test for people coming in is whether they like to be here. I would suggest that good people, when people say how awful this country is and how they hate it here, my usual response is, get out of here then. It's a free country, you can leave. We don't want to change. We like our country. We love our country. Michael Kaufman, you can find me on LinkedIn, 2Fs, Kaufman.
Thanks. Alex, parting thoughts, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm going to tell the American people and also the British people by extension, stand up for yourselves a little bit more. Your ideas are far better than these psychopaths and these psychopaths who have in intifadas. Oh, you think you're so cute? You know what I mean? Like, how dare you be, I don't know, you soil the name of freedom with your savagery, basically. I don't know. So that's what I would say. As always, I'm going to tell everybody if they want to get more information about the Middle East and the wars, especially from Israel's perspective, go to the IDSF. If you also want to see real news stories from the Middle East with English subtitles, MEMRI, MEMRI. And in addition to that, I want to tell everybody to visit the Alma Center as well. Okay, and also Regavim. There's so many. There's just too many think tanks.
Thanks. And Anders, where parting thoughts and where can people find more from you?
Yeah, you find me at andersingemarssononeword.substack.com. And if you're feeling downbeat and looking for some upbeat information, well, then there is nowhere quicker to get that than to pick up a copy of my book, Think Right or Wrong, Not Left or Right, at an Amazon outlet near you.
Thank you. I'm Razi Ginsburg on X. Make sure if you're not a member, you become a member in the next hour so you get to see the first of those peek-off videos. If you don't do it within the next hour, you can watch it later. But yes, it is every day from today onwards. As mentioned, it will be on YouTube for YouTube members. It will be on the website. You have to be logged in as a member for members through the website. Thanks again for joining me, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow with the Daily Objective and the reality show.